Enterprise Zimbabwe, business and everything you want to know on Zifm Stereo.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is Enterprise Zimbabwe. My name is Supa Mandiwanzira, and joining me tonight is my usual guest, Jerry Zungu, the Chartered Vendor, to talk about great advice, guidance, tips for the small business. Our effort here on Zifm Stereo, my station, your station, particularly on Enterprise Zimbabwe, is to encourage the young enterprises, to encourage small to medium enterprises to grow, because every billionaire started as a small business, and that's our motto right here on Zifm Stereo. Right, Jerry, great to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Super. How was your weekend?
Well, the weekend was great, and I'm sure those who are in business would like to know what we're talking about today. But before we do that, let's just advise that if you have any question for Jerry, if you want to ask something, if you want to know something, if you want to comment about what Jerry is saying or about the show, get in touch with us on WhatsApp number 0731 168 045. Let's hear your comments and what you have to say. Today we're talking about money, we're talking about numbers, we're talking about people who get into business and just worry about, are we making profit? Am I buying this at this price and selling at this price? They never talk about doing the numbers, doing the books.
Exactly.
How important is doing books for small businesses?
Yeah, thank you. It's very, very important to have your numbers right in business, because if you don't have the numbers, you can't even know whether your marketing strategy, if it's working, your sales strategy, if it's even working. So everything is actually determined by the numbers. So you're supposed to prepare your accounts, you're supposed to prepare your profit and loss, you're supposed to know your financial position. This is what is going to determine whether the business is growing or it's actually shrinking. So most of the small to medium enterprises, what I've noticed is they don't even know how much profit or how much loss they've made in the previous months. So that is very, very important for everyone in business to actually know the basics of accounting.
Okay, so the attitude generally of small businesses, you don't really need an accountant because it's going to be an extra cost.
Exactly.
Why is it important to have an accountant if you are going to be successful as a small business? Because to be honest, it is an extra cost if
exactly.
I do my own numbers.
Exactly. Yeah. What they need to know the accounting, because number one, you need to pay your taxes. Like, you need to know how much are you going to pay to ZIMRA, how much are you going to pay to NASA, and as good citizens, you're supposed to contribute to the fiscus. So there's no way you're going to know how much you're going to pay as your income tax without accounting. And also, you can also...
But let's be very honest, what small business is motivated? Who is in the small and medium scale business enterprise sector who's motivated about paying tax? Because everybody thinks about, what is government doing for me?
Exactly.
What is ZIMRA doing for me? Why should I even be bothered to pay tax? So let's not even start there. Let's start there from the point of, can I see clearly if I'm making profits or not?
Yeah.
I'm on the right track with my business.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're supposed to know their profit, they're supposed to know their loss, because most of the decisions which are going to make as a small to medium enterprises, whether the business you are in is actually working, it's only going to be determined by the numbers. The profit and loss or the comprehensive income statement is the one which is going to show whether the business is actually growing, or you can also see whether you need to decrease, to reduce some of the expenses. For example, if you see your fuel is always increasing each and every month, sometimes you need to start taking measures and taking internal controls which are going to reduce that expense. Sometimes if you're also going to see that, no, we've invested 2,000 in our marketing, but our revenue is actually increased by 30%. It means sometimes if you're going to increase your marketing budget by 4,000, let's say people have started advertising, playing ads on ZFM, then they start to see that, no, I think we are making more money because we are playing more ads. So they need to increase that budget, and definitely the revenue is going to increase. So it's of paramount importance for people to know what is happening in their business through figures, not through guessing that, no, I think our clients are now coming in numbers. That is never going to be shown. We need it in black and white. We need it to be reduced in numbers. We need it to be reduced even when you're costing. let's say you are costing your customers, you need to know whether they are making a profit or a loss. Because most of the people, they just consider Mariata no hoda kumsika yeye. Awazo isi transport yatafambisa kombi pakati. Like exactly. Ye pari pabasa achajga. That's okay. Yeah, that's great. So you can only determine that by putting it in figures, comprehensive income statement, your cash flows, your profit and loss.
That sounds very scary. A lot of people are always scared of mathematics anyway, whether it's in the classroom and in real life. How can you make it easy and palatable for people who are in business to love numbers, to love to see the numbers? Because you're sounding like it's very sophisticated and complicated. Can you simplify it for somebody who's in a small business?
Yeah, thank you. There's nothing complicated about that. I think I've got my major expenses which I have. Maybe it's rent, maybe it's fuel. What I can just say maybe to an entrepreneur who is out there, or to the SMEs or Arguma tax shop or a vendor, just calculate paurungoburitsa mari or paurukupuwa invoice yekunzi chibhadhara iwo nyora pasi, then iwo pauri receive mari iwo gara wanyora pasi, or ari kukukwereta gara wanyora pasi, wauda kubhadhara wane chikwereti naye, write it down. I think that's how I can simplify it, to say no, wherever money is going out, or whenever someone is saying you owe me this amount of money, please record that. That is essential. That is you're going to see an overview of your business through that, to say no, I think right now we're now owing too much than we were owing last month, so we need to see how we can going to pay all these bills.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Jerry Mandiwanzira, our Chartered Vendor, usual guest on this program, Enterprise Zimbabwe. My name is Supa Mandiwanzira. We're live on Zifm Stereo, my station. Welcome back to the show. My name is Supa Mandiwanzira. My guest tonight, as is usual, is Jerry Mandiwanzira, our Chartered Vendor. Just before we went for the break, Jerry, you were talking about how important it is to do the numbers. Very important question. How important is it for somebody who's running a small business to consider putting themselves on a salary? Because people are always considering themselves the last.
Exactly. Yeah, that is very, 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 very important. That is a good question. Yeah, the reason why you should be on salary and why you should even wait for a dividend, let's say after 6 months or 1 year, is because we need to avoid a scenario whereby you start stealing from your business or you start stealing from your family. Because when you are an entrepreneur, so passionate, you want to grow the business, sometimes you end up starving the family. Now kutoenda kuchikoro vasina boots just because baba vada kugrow the business. So we're saying if you take a salary, that salary is going to cater for your family needs. And also sometimes some people now, when they've got a 10,000 in their Roma account, they now think that the money belongs to them. So after paying maybe few salaries, paying their rentals, they're thinking that all that money belongs to them. So giving yourself a salary is going to create some sort of a discipline, whereby you know that no, if I finish my salary this month, it's the end. And number two, also it helps us now to focus on the profit and loss, because if you are now going to be paid through a salary, and maybe let's say end of year you are going to be paid through a dividend, it means you're now going to be worried whether we're making profit or we're making a loss, because your dividend, much of your money is now coming after tighter money, after we now have a profit. So if you see most of the business people, the small to medium enterprises, they're not mainly worried about the profit, they're only worried about the revenue. But we're saying they should have a different mindset now, whereby they must be worried about the loss or the profit they're actually making.
So manje uri run a small business, madam your phone, porridge remwana rapera unotora mutire kana kuti unapa salary and kana salary isipo, best option kutora kamutire.
Yeah, that is the discipline which you're supposed to have even urukutanga a business. Because the thing is, if you start to discipline yourself, even if you tell your family kuteka jika salary kapera, that's the end. Or even kana ya emergency, let's say mwana arwara, if we take from the business, we're now a creditor, we're now actually we're now a debtor, we're actually stealing from the business, we are now taking from the business. So takuti isotozviso kubalance it, toti akwereta business. Saka kana tatora mari titori nochikwereti nebusiness, kana salary yedu yauya todzorera mari yebusiness, isusu toramba tiri discipline yekushandisa mari yedu mubusiness. That will actually create a financial discipline which can make us go far.
Okay, that sounds very, very complicated and something that is unlikely to happen. But you need that discipline to be able to do that so that you can see whether your business is growing or not growing.
Exactly.
What did you do in your business? You were a vendor before. Give us your practical experience.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, what I did as a vendor and when I also started MNJ was ndakati inini yangu inondikwanira ndeipi. Like paying all the rentals, making sure that I've taken care of anamai kumusha, fertilizer, etc. the E. So I would notice kuti ndikasashanda zvokuzvibhadhara nekubhadhara mwangu tinenge tisina kushanda. So you kind of start to have that discipline yekuti no, inini ndakutofaitira salary, saka even date resalary unenge wakutoziva kuti 25 akuda kusvika because you're on salary. Like right now I'm actually excited because on the 30th that's when I'm also going to get my salary at MNJ. So you also feel the pain inowanikwa nemunhu ari kuwana salary ari kushandira kuti no ndikasawana salary panapa tikasapana na mari yakakwana we're never going to enjoy this business. So it's hard. I know that it's very hard, but it gives you to have a feeling really different. Like for example, if money is now being taken, like maybe to pay to buy a computer, when you feel that is coming from your pocket, you are very, very, very difficult to convince, and sometimes you're going to be angry to your people that no, why are you guys? You are busy damaging these computers. They've repaired them last month because it's emotional. It's coming from your pocket. But if you know that this money belongs to the company, you're never going to be emotional about it. You know that that money is being used because it needed to be used in the business. So it's very, very important.
So as a business owner, we get to the end of the month, there isn't enough money in the salary kit. There is some money to pay some stuff. Where do you put yourself on the list, on the priority list of those that have to get paid?
Last.
Small business owner.
Last.
You always put yourself last.
I put myself.
Because you still have those bills. You want to send that fertilizer. You still have to pay school fees for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Why should you be at the end?
Entrepreneurship is a game of sacrifice. Some of the people, even after setting up big businesses, you might end up, even the employees might benefit even much better than you as the shareholder.